What got you into tennis?
You don't want to know.
Richard Russell was born on September 8, 1945, and went on to become the youngest national champion at 16 years. He's the only Jamaican to qualify and win matches at all Grand Slam championships from 1964 to 1972. Since 1966, he has held the distinction for holding a record for winning a first-round match in a Grand Slam event, the Australian Open Championships, 6-0, 6-0, 6-0. He is the father of 3 sons who are all very talented players with impressive bios of their own.
A school that was quite brilliant in sport. A school called Kingston College. They won everything football, cricket, athletics. And I was a captain of the cricket team, Colts team. And I was also on the Sunlight Cup, the youngest schoolboy cricketer in Jamaica at 13. And the history teacher was in charge of tennis. And KC had to have an under 14 team. And there was no athlete in KC that would play tennis. Certainly not in those days. And he pulled myself and 3 others, Dennis Atkinson, who's a golfer. You may know Dennis, went to KC with me. And a Dr. Claude DeCarish, I don't know if you know any of these names. Pulled us off the cricket field and said, listen, you're representing the school next week. You have to come out and play tennis half an hour before you go to cricket. I won't let you know that I cried every single afternoon.
And we won't put it in the story.
You know what?
He just said he won't tell us.
And we played, and the following week, the history teacher entered me in the All Jamaica Championships, 14 and under. And I got to the finals. After playing around 2 weeks of tennis. And my father went there and said, this is not possible. He had promised the family a swimming pool for about 5 years, was saving to build a swimming pool. And he went home and took out the state measure and he measured the front lawn. And he said, you know what, I think I can get a tennis court in here. Short, but I can get it. And he told my poor mother, with all our beautiful imported roses, that she had to move them. I was building a tennis court. He said, no, tennis court, a swimming pool. I said, no, I'm building a tennis court. And on the Sunday, he had his friend come with his bulldozer and bulldoze the whole front yard. Wow. My mother now cried for a week. She couldn't believe it. She thought this was a total mad lunatic.
That's what you need, boy.
And he built the court. And the moral of the story is this. My father wouldn't allow me to go to school until I played against the wall for half an hour every morning before I go to school.
Wow.
And if I was late, he said, you're not missing any schoolwork, you're missing chapel. And he just write the excuse to get in. You need to play every single morning of life, half an hour. I come home from school, go back on the wall for another half an hour. In those days, every top Australian player in the entire world learned tennis against a garage wall. And we can do it in the Caribbean and don't realize it. Any youngster in the Caribbean with ball sense and then go against a wall and play against a wall, they become a good tennis player overnight. Because if you hit a ball against a wall and if you don't hit it properly, it comes back at an angle, never comes back straight. So you don't need nobody to teach you. A teacher will tell you to put your foot here and your racket here. You don't need that. The wall is the teacher. You hit the ball against the wall. If it don't come back straight, you don't hit the ball properly.
Wow.
Until eventually you keep doing it, you hit it against the wall. Yeah. So moral of the story is, became the youngest national champion at 16. After 2.5 years of tennis. Come Johnny Jr., let's see now. 100 without missing, eh? 2, 3, come on, move the feet, 4.
youngest, but yes, I'm there.
That's what I'm saying. I just told your brother if I had to guess the order, Reid would have been the eldest.
I know he's been
Then
through a lot.
Ryan, then you.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
It's just, I don't know, I guess I take care of myself a little better. I
Nice.
joke. Well, he's been there from day one. He's taught us basically everything we know. He's there for us 24 hours a day, no matter what the situation is. You always find a way to support you. He has a difficult job trying to raise 3 of us, which is like he's a ringleader in a circus because every day is something new with us. But he manages to find a way. I mean, can ride and whistle.
That's big, right? You don't have a lot of dads out there like that.
I don't think so. He's very special.
Is there anything you'd like your dad to know that he probably doesn't know?
How much he means to me.
Yeah?
As much as I might not speak a lot to him or communicate, as he likes to say, a lot to him, but it does mean a lot to me. And he's learned over the years. Sometimes he can actually read my mind. He knows when there's something bothering, when things are okay. But for the most part, love him. He's special. Can't imagine life without him.
My father's been pretty much a part of my tennis career from the beginning. He has been there through everything with me, so it's pretty extraordinary. I don't think I could have anybody else as amazing as a coach and a father as my father. So he's probably the most special person in my life, and he's been there and done everything for me so I could get to where I'm at right now. So he means a lot and everything to me.
Yeah, I get that. Any other major influences, male or female? Dad
I
did
would
it.
s- Dad did it, to
Dad
be
did
honest.
it.
He's been there for every single last thing.
I know, that's crazy.
Problem. So I'd say, yeah.
We're a direct shadow of each other. We're a mirror image, and he's pretty much been everything in terms of the strongest backbone in my life and inspiration in everything I've done. And he's the strongest person I know. So he's definitely helped me to get through all of my challenges in life. And it's been for the longest time in my life, growing up, you try to fight these things. You try to say, I don't want to be like my dad. I'm not like my dad. And then after a while, you
realize you have to
how
accept it.
You accept it, and then you realize, especially with my dad, him being my coach, it's the hardest thing to have a coach and a father, because you push,
Right.
you resist.
There's a fine
And
line.
I think that's been the hardest challenge. And then I have the shadows of my brothers who have done very well successfully.
Yeah.
The baby in the bunch, but I'm much bigger than that guy.
I am over there in the field watching them. Them say, man, what you doing over here? I said, well, I'm not going to tell you now. But I'm looking for a cricketer. Say, anybody who can play cricket in the Caribbean can play tennis like that.
Really?
Wow.
Tennis is the easiest game for any child who can play cricket. Because it's a hand-eye
Hand-eye coordination,
And in cricket, every ball bounces differently. In tennis, every ball bounces differently. But you see, when you go to play cricket, nobody, you just go play cricket. You go play football. In tennis now, for whatever reason, people believe that you can't play tennis unless somebody teach you tennis. You have to learn to play tennis.
Making me feel so weird to play tennis.
No, you don't need to learn, just come and play.
I believe I remember it was a vision of my father that his son somehow was going to play at Wimbledon. So he put me on a plane, sent me to England, and entered me in some pre-Wimbledon events. It was just after we had played the Davis Cup for at the time, the West Indies, the Commonwealth Caribbean. And I'd won 2 matches. I just came back from Australia and I won 2 matches in the Davis Cup, and he decided to put me on this plane. I got there at a place called Beckenham. It was 2 or 3 weeks before Wimbledon, in the pre-qualifying, the pre-event for Wimbledon. And I wasn't even in the main draw. So they had me in what's called the B singles, which is really for club players and league players. And we had a representative over there, thank God for him, who went to the referee and said, listen, this young man from Jamaica has come to play at Wimbledon. But I noticed he's not even in the main draw here. What's he going to do? He's in the B singles. And I said, well, we knew nothing about him, and let's see how well he does in the B singles. So the great John Newcombe from Australia apparently had lost in the first round of the French championships, and he called up Beckenham and asked if they would allow him to play, and they, of course, John Newcombe, they'd do anything to get him to play. So there was a bind draw, so they pulled me out of the B singles and put me to play against John Newcombe for one of us to get into the main draw the following day. So of course, playing against Newcombe, the match was on the centre court. So centre court at Beckenham, and full stadium. Of course, I played a very good match. I lost 7-5, 6-3, and I hit a couple of volleys sort of flying parallel to the court, and Daily Telegraph the following morning had me on the front page, parallel hitting this forehand volley. So somehow at that point they decided this guy from Jamaica isn't so bad after all. And the same afternoon the qualifying listing came out for Wimbledon, and of course I wasn't on the list either. And we went back to the referee and asked him, well, what we're going to do? We're come all the way from Jamaica and we're not even in the qualifying for Wimbledon. I said, well, the best we can do is to tell Russell to go to Roehampton on Monday morning as early as possible, and we put him on the alternate list and see if we can get him in the draw. So on the Monday morning, in England at summertime, the sun's out from 4:30, 5 o'clock. So I was up from 4:30, skipping, doing my shot of tennis, stroking, and decided wasn't sure how soon I need to get to Roehampton. So I took the underground from Earl's Court, went to Roehampton. I got there at 6 o'clock in the morning. There was nobody there apart from the janitor. So I went in my bag. I had a ball. So I went in and I went against the wall, and I just hit against the wall for 2 hours from 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock, until the assistant referee, Mr. Spicala, arrived. And he says, Russell, what are you doing here so early? I said, Captain Gibson said I need to come early, sir, to sign up early, sir. Very, very polite and very British. and he put these big sheets out with the big drawers, and then they had one sheet had alternates, and he had a list of around 8 or 10 players on this list, and he looked on this list. I wasn't on the list, and he put my name. He put D.A.R. Russell, Jamaica, and then under that he put the 6 or 8 other players he had on this alternate list. At about 8:45, this player called up a very famous player who was in the qualifying, Krishnan and Kumar, the Indian players who got to the finals at Wimbledon in doubles a number of years earlier. And Kumar was coming over on a business trip and thought because he was a Wimbledon finalist, Wimbledon would put him in the main draw, and of course he wasn't in the main draw. When he realized he was in the qualifying, he pulled out. So he called up just before his match, and Mr. Spicala went and crossed out his name and put in there D.A.R. Russell, Jamaica. So I was automatically in, played my first match 9 o'clock as the first person on the court, 9 o'clock in the morning. As the first person off. 5-set matches. 3 sets, boom, 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 came off. Next day, another 5-set match, second round, 3 sets, won. And the third day, 3 sets I won. Qualified for Wimbledon. And of course, at that point in time, I thought I had done what I had to do in life. There was nothing else to do because I qualified for Wimbledon. So my son Ryan now, who I took to Wimbledon, I took him on the center court and I sat him down there and I said, listen Ryan, I'm going to admit something to you. When I play tennis, I now, in hindsight, recognized that my dream was to be able to play Wimbledon and play the Grand Slams. I never thought for one moment about winning a Grand Slam. And at that point, there was nobody in the region who had ever played these tournaments. So my goal was to play the tournament. So your goal must be to win the tournament, not just to play the tournament. So that was kind of a very interesting experience for me going there, and then for Ryan coming there as a junior, getting to the semifinals and being 2 points away from the finals in the doubles at Junior Wimbledon. So that was kind of very special to see him following up after and doing quite so well, and unfortunately not getting to the finals when he could have. But Wimbledon it's the greatest tournament in the world, and even today nothing has changed. It's the only tournament where the traditions have never changed. Every other tournament has grown, developed, and at one point the US Open was on grass courts, went to clay courts, it's now hard courts. The Australian Open was on grass courts, it's now on hard courts. And Wimbledon, the tradition of Wimbledon and the tradition of playing in whites, and it is exactly the same today as it was 30 or 40 years ago when I was there. Absolutely the greatest tennis event on earth.